So we are in History Chapter 20. I want you to read pages 95 and 96. But first, let's talk about what's going on right now in history. How did we get here? And what is God up to anyway? So in the last chapter, we saw that God protected his people from being taken back into the Church of Rome. If they had been beaten by the Spanish, they would have been forced to go back into the Church of Rome. So instead, they were in the Church of England. Or at least that's what their country was saying they should be in. But they still didn't have true religious liberty because they had to do things the way the Church of England said. There was a small congregation, however, that met in a little town called Scrooby. Funny name. Scrooby, England, that was reading the Bible for themselves. Because you remember, the Bible's now translated into English, and the people could read the Bible for themselves. So, they were seeing in there how they should worship God and how they should govern themselves and govern their own congregations. And what the Bible was saying was not what the Church of England was saying. So they separated themselves, and they were called separatists because they separated. And they got in big trouble for it. The King of England made all kinds of harsh laws, and eventually they had to leave England. They moved for a short while to Holland, but that didn't work out, so they made plans to move to the New World. So they had a patent, which means a piece of paper that gives them permission from the king to settle in Virginia, in the king's colony that was already there in Virginia. But on the way over, God used a storm to blow them north to a little place called Cape Cod, or where Plymouth Rock is, where the settlement of Plymouth was started. So once again, we see God using the weather. God loves to use the weather. He's so funny. So they had landed in Plymouth at Cape Cod. It was November. It was too cold and stormy to sail and try to find Virginia. So they had to settle in Cape Cod. And immediately, what they call the strangers, the people who were on the ship who were not part of their congregation, thought, aha, ho, 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 no rules, yes. So what happened next? That's what you're going to put on the first section of your history paper. It says, the strangers on board the Mayflower threatened mutiny. What did they say? That's what you're going to put in that first section. What did they say? Well, this and this and this and this, so we don't have to do what you say. We can do whatever we want. Look in the book, and it says exactly what they said. And then you're going to write a definition of mutiny. You may have heard that word before in reading books about sailors or armies during wars. What does it mean to mutiny? If you've never heard that word before, look it up. You know how to do that. Look it up. Ask Google, what does mutiny mean? We don't use dictionaries anymore. We use Google. But you could also look online for Webster's 1828 dictionary and see what our boy Noah says that it means. In case you weren't here when we read that book, we read a history of Noah Webster's life. So we feel like we know him. He's our boy Noah. So look and see, what does mutiny mean? Then the next question asks, how were the Pilgrims prepared to write a compact or an agreement for civil government? And why is the Mayflower Compact so important in the history of civil government? The answers to both those questions are in the last paragraph on page 96. So the Mayflower Compact was a first. The first time this had ever happened. What was it? A first of. Talk to you next time. Bye.